Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. This is the last day and the last afternoon for our continuing master student class of 2021 culminating experience presentation. And we have the pleasure to start the afternoon with our student Naomi Nakanishi. Naomi has a presentation entitled Hear Me Speak, Asian American artists confronting anti-Asian sentiment through the radicalization of social constructs. And her advisor is BJJ alumni and faculty and Berklee faculty, the great Nadia Washington. Welcome, Nadia. And we have as a panelist, we're welcoming Sumi Tonoka. Welcome, Sumi. Thank you for being with us. I would like to read a little bit about our student Naomi, and this is her short bio. A multifaceted pianist, improviser, and composer, Naomi Nakanishi is currently based in Boston, Massachusetts, a resident alumna of the Berklee Global Jazz Institute. Her background in classical and folk repertoire deeply influenced her sound today through her ethereal and groove-oriented compositions. As an activist, she implements intersectional practices through her organization, Women Mean Business, celebrating femme non-binary musicians. She has performed at major festivals such as the Rochester International Jazz Festival and the Panama Jazz Festival, and she's the recipient of Jazz Educational Network All Learner Scholarship. Naomi continually strives to cultivate enriching musical experience for all. Well, Naomi, we're very excited to hear your presentation. So if you're ready, you can start at any moment.
Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everyone to my culminating experience project at the Berklee Global Jazz Institute, where I will be presenting a two-part multidisciplinary work entitled Hear Me Speak, Asian American artists confronting anti-Asian sentiment through the radicalization of social constructs. This is a sonic self-portrait consisting of 5 original poems and compositions, as well as a collage recognizing the creative and artistic successes of Asian American artists in my community. This project was inspired by the deep need to amplify these voices. So without further ado, here is Hear Me Speak.
Till that sickness health. Marriage is lost, find me myself, find me found. I do, I won't, till that sickness health.
Generational dysphoria. She passes the freshwater creek near her hometown village. She gazes amongst the dense, rich wildlife. Yet she still feels as though winter will be approaching soon. She is desperate. She nestles in the nook of her lover's arm, a human blanket, reassured by the warmth of her beige cotton. Yet she notices the tendrils of her rough brown hair rustle. She tightens and tightens, and her stomach twists and turns into twisted knots. Her songs reflect the lush green countryside, her home, wonderful, delightful. Her dainty orange tabby purrs, reminding her of vibrations underneath railroad tracks. Her feet sink into the raw dirt. Wonderful, delightful. She quickens her pace amongst unfamiliar faces, yet she still feels the sweat trickling down her ice-cold back. She winces at the lake wind effect, salted tears glistening. She rests, feeling the barren ground. It's winter again.
Oppression.
We see how we want to see.
Chaos and commotion, our hearts ache and grieve.
We breathe
We cannot
the
see
way we want
how
to
we
breathe.
want to see. We cannot breathe the way we want to breathe. We are crying massive graves into the ground, while others linger slyly,
We are
guns in
crying a
hand,
massive grave
without a sound.
in the ground,
You who was once beaming in the sunlight,
while others
scarlet,
linger slyly,
bright shade of
guns
nonconformity.
in hand,
I know you are gone, so please forgive me.
without a sound.
Chaos and commotion, our hearts
Who was
ache with
once
grief.
beaming
We
in
have
the
found
sunlight,
peace in your memories. We acknowledge your sacrifices, your intricacy.
a bright shade.
You say American safety while we proclaim,
I
where
know
is your empathy?
you're
Only
gone.
by death are you truly free. For a moment, the earth stops
Gone.
breathing. Rest assured.
Please forgive me. Chaos and commotion. Our hearts ache in grief. We have found peace in your memories. We acknowledge your intricacy. You say American safety while we proclaim, where is your empathy? Only by death are you truly free. For a moment, the earth also stops breathing. Rest assured in peace.
Hear me speak. We have been taught, countlessly scolded, all our lives to cross our legs, body parts kept, to bite our tongue and resist their threats, even though they are unwarranted, vulgar, unkempt. It's just a joke, they say. Haven't you heard a compliment in your day? Countless times we grit our teeth to, "You can't do that," or "Oh, don't be mad." No longer a recitement. You will understand. You will listen. And you will hear me speak. Am I first or second generation? This is often the question I ask myself every time I ask where I come from. I am visibly Asian, but my voice is Chinese. I am the face of many queer movements, most of which has been centered in whiteness. You would not know that I am queer. It started with smelly school lunches that my mom packed for me, to being called exotic while sitting on the benches in front of my school. I'm tired of being reduced to a stereotype, a monolith. These songs and poems are a reflection of my identity as a queer, Asian American, femme musician, and the barriers and triumphs I've endured. I am breaking down the walls of this echo chamber that Asian Americans occupy, confronting stereotypes built from misogynistic, racist, and classist constructs, and reimagining a new future of intersectionality, community, and equity. Yellow-bellied, an insult implying cowardice or cowardly, originated from the yellow-bellied sapsucker bird. I am not death, nor your pleasantry at the dinner table. I am not your servant, a mere language barrier, a cultural doormat to step on. Neither am I your inferior, nor your geisha doll babe. Yet these blood-stained streets echo your distaste in our ethnicities. We continue to rise only to be shut down again and again and again. Locked up again and again and again. With countless murders unaccounted for, mostly forgotten, without regret. This is my body, this is my witness. Here I shall represent, with the upbringing of my ancestry,
My name is Summer Kodama. I'm a bassist and composer.
Like you said, my name is Chloe Vandiver. I'm a trombonist, composer, and educator based in Brooklyn, New York.
I'm a 23-year-old Vietnamese Khmer American artist.
My name is Elora. I often go by E.
I'm Bella Schleicher in Las Vegas, Nevada, as a circus performer.
I am Cindy Lan. I'm currently 26 and I live in Queens, New York, which is also where I grew up. I am primarily a violist and violinist.
My name is Jade Elliott. I'm 24 years old. I'm currently a graduate student at NYU Steinhardt for music therapy.
So my name is Sam Donato. If you ask my mom, it's Samantha.
I feel called to create space for people who look like me, I guess.
I think it's really important for me to show that Asia is really diverse and it's not just a monolith like a lot of people think.
I've always loved composing, and I've composed for my band and myself, but it's a whole different experience to compose for other people, and so I really appreciate that other people have me in mind when wanting to feature composers. So
I'm very talented within my own reality.
I think the moment that I was actually proud of myself in my artistry was taking a stand and deciding not to be a ballet dancer anymore.
No one can actually take away the fact that I'm Chinese by using it as an insult or some kind of a weapon against me.
And let's say I go to any sort of gig and I'm, the only woman there. I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna kick ass, first of all, because I'm representing my fellow non-cis hetero men. Pretty much I'm just I'm here to show up for my communities.
I saw the bass, it was big, and I was like, yeah, that one.
When I started there in 2014, I was the only senior faculty of color in the music department at Harvard.
The burden can't just be on women to keep, screaming into the void and sort of demand this attention.
They expect, as Asian Americans, they expect us to be more silent.
I had to practice twice as hard because they'll look at you and think, oh, she can't play. You're already operating under the assumption of other people that you can't play, that you can't solo. I want to respect my Chinese heritage because it does mean a lot to me. I consider myself an Asian American. There's a sense of pride when I play, and it's different from just the personal pride.
You should be very proud of who your family is and where you've come from and the way that you look. It's perfect.
I started prioritizing honesty over perfection.
Going forward, there must be a need to continually advocate for all women of color and BIPOC folk by centering our conversations around their experiences and allowing them to lead. In order to continue dismantling monolithic views of the Asian diaspora and furthering this work of advocacy, my nonprofit organization, Women Mean Business, is in the process of developing a unique mentorship program consisting of outreach concerts, subsidized private lessons, panel discussions, master classes with guest artists, and an enriching online community. Hear Me Speak has been one of the greatest and most satisfying artistic statements that continues to redefine how musicians can continue dismantling racial stereotypes against Asian Americans, with the intent to radicalize the femme image outside the construct of whiteness, thus creating more visibility for all women of color and BIPOC artists. I'd like to deeply thank my wonderful colleagues that played on this project, as well as my advisor, Nadia Washington, my chosen panelist, Sumi Tonooka, as well as the managing director of BGJI, Marco Pignataro, and the artistic director, Danilo Perez. Thank you to the committee members as well, and lastly to the Berklee Global Jazz Institute for their unending support this past year.
Brava, Naomi. What a beautiful presentation. Congratulations. Really, really, really amazing. Well, let's start the second part of the presentation, and we're going to invite Mrs. Tanoka to share any comment or question for our student.
Firstly, yes, bravo, Naomi. I was very moved by your presentation, which really attempted and succeeded on many levels to do what you wanted to do. And it was quite a title. The title being Asian American Artists Confronting Anti-Asian Sentiment Through the Radicalization of Social Constructs. That's very loaded. And I was happy to see that you addressed this in a variety of creative ways, not only musically in your own music, but there were some very powerful things that you did through the presentation that I felt were you sort of enacting that within the presentation, radicalizing social constructs by showing your own face through most of it in the, I was going to say kabuki, but it's not kabuki, but makeup. It's that whole
geisha.
The geisha makeup,
Yeah.
The whole image of you taking that off your face as you were speaking and as the poetry was playing to this beautiful, fresh face, just purely you, so straight on, so straightforward. It's very, to me, very, very powerful. It's a very powerful statement. And also very courageous. So I applaud you for that. The other thing I felt was very strong was the use of music. And I know it's your music. I would have loved to have been able to hear more, the pieces themselves as just as music. And because I know it's difficult to try to edit the music to make it all make sense, because it's not like you're writing a score, you actually wrote those pieces. And also I liked very much the poetry as well. I do have some questions for you, but I do want to say congratulations before I move forward with the questions, because I felt that the piece was so creative and very personal to you. So bravo for that.
Thank you.
So the one thing I did want to ask you about, there's a whole lot I would like to ask you about, but I'm really glad you included your own voice and your own statements in and around the whole idea of what it is to radicalize social constraints, constructs. And so I wanted to ask you, as you said in your CE proposal that you mentioned that as curator, you wanted to focus on creating unique and creative interviews. And I wanted you to speak to this process, what you learned and what you might be doing differently moving forward, and how, that might have changed you speaking to the artists that you did choose for the project.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Sumi, for asking these questions and saying those nice words. So just to give a little bit of background, all these interviews took place still within the midst of this pandemic. And so when you're talking to a lot of artists, I learned that it's important to understand where they're coming from, because myself, being an artist as well, and functioning under this really horrible time, I guess, or not horrible, I guess, just unique, weird situation of coronavirus. There was that almost that level of vulnerability that came with these like interviews, and that's something that I hadn't really like understood before until now. And also the fact that all of these interviews took place over Zoom. So in a way, that was I was very lucky to be able to connect with so many different people, because obviously I wouldn't have been able to do this all in person, because a lot of these artists don't actually live in Boston. So yeah, I guess if I had to curate another set of interviews differently, or if there was another way I could look at how I approach this, I think I would like to localize it more and divide it up into segments that way and be able to actually conduct these interviews in person. I mean, it did feel very personal to talk to these like amazing musicians and artists. But again, you know, with everyone feeling like very almost like tense and very like, you know, what is going on, I still felt that there was like, even though they were vulnerable, there was still a barrier there. And I'm wondering if it might change if I'm able to connect with these people face to face. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I guess what I wanted to maybe have you address too was maybe some similarities and differences in how the artists were radicalizing social constructs, you know, and how this might have affected your own ideas about what that means to do that.
Yeah, so a great example actually is the Vietnamese Khmer artist I interviewed. Her name is Rini. She talked about how her work is centered around Vietnamese women, but she's radicalizing that concept by painting them in like more modern contemporary settings. She had said in her interview that most of the time when you see cultural paintings, it's always most likely depicting like kings and queens. So very like, you know, traditional, kind of diving deep into the rich history of that particular culture. Um, but the way she saw it was, you know, I want to paint how Vietnamese women are living today. You know, what does their life look like with or without children or with their careers? Um, and she said that this in particular was to sort of break down that barrier and get out of this echo chamber that I, you know, briefly talked about in the video. And that was a common theme that I heard between all of the artists I interviewed was that, you know, they really are all just trying to be seen, you know, as a minority group. And I recently had a conversation with pianist Helen Sung, who said the exact same thing. And we had a very nice conversation on the experiences of Asian Americans. And she said that oftentimes, you know, we are the unseen minority, especially just in Black American music in general. So, yeah, just being able to break the barriers of the echo chamber was a common thing I heard. Being misrepresented quite often, not just, you know, in media, but in everyday life. And also, every single person that I did talk to and interviewed did encounter racist experiences throughout their life. There wasn't a single one that said, "Oh yeah, you know, it's been fine," you know, despite the fact that, you know, we live in America, we were born and raised in America. Every single one of them had to go through that. And it's traumatic, really. So, in a way, it's like, you know, everyone is connecting by this trauma and creating beautiful art from it and realizing and coming into their own sense of who they are as a musician. And I really tried to embody that in my thesis project as well, in my video. Just, you know, having that deadpan shot of my face. And I know when I first looked at the footage, my first reaction was, oh my gosh, my face looks like really flat, which is like, I feel really horrible for saying that. Or I looked at my nose and I was like, why does my nose look like that? And I started to fall back into these patterns of how I looked at myself, like before this project and what it was like growing up being Asian American and knowing that I wanted to so badly encompass European features. But the more I started to work on it, editing the videos, listening to the music, putting everything together, like I really felt like the whole like footage really was representative of everything going on in my life. I was taking off this mask in a way that, you know, everybody had perceived me to be. So I hope that answers your question, Sumi. There's a
Well,
lot.
I love that part. I really did. I actually really love that part. And I think it took a lot of courage. And I know how self-conscious we all are, for all kinds of various reasons, particularly, for me, it resonated with me because of my own background, my mother being Japanese American and interned in Manzanar, at the age of 16. And so and I was really, interested in how moving forward is particularly with your generation and the generation of new artists, how it might be different or the same. And I do feel that there are differences in the way that you're able to articulate, what it is and the different levels that you're feeling as an artist and as a creative and as an activist, so I very much appreciate it. I don't want to bogart time here because I know we have very little bit of time, but congratulations, Naomi. And I would like to hand it over to Naja because I know, Naja, I would love to hear from you. And I'm going to stop talking now.
I would like to, of course, just add to Sumi's comments and congratulations, you did it. A lot, of course, I can give a little insight into the process. Deciding to make it a multidisciplinary work was kind of around the 11th hour or so of her making the music. And it was just really remarkable that you just decided to just go all in and try to make it happen. And it turned out to be that was like the tipping point into, of course, bringing all of what you've been researching and passionate about into a singular, grounded piece of expression, art form of expression. So I'm really happy for you and proud of you for deciding to do that. Like, let's do it. Let's make it happen. And of course, I love that, of course, throughout the visual self-portrait, right? You being deadpan, how, the makeup itself, the geisha makeup itself is representative of what you mentioned earlier in your presentation about the archetype of the geisha, right? Where we're, smudging and smearing the constructs, but then once your makeup was muddled in a certain by the time we got to maybe the second or third song, you were more like gray faced, and that was really parallel with the internment camps that you mentioned, like just seeing them being in in those, like, in that moment of being just dark and the emotions that one would face if they were in captivity. And I just thought that something so simple really painted the picture and that you created in your music. So it was really, really awesome to see. I had one question for you because of course you have so many facets. One of those questions are, what type of curriculum does the Women Means Business focus on?
Yeah, so Women Mean Business focuses on curating curriculums with an emphasis on Black composers, women of color composers, non-binary composers, and more. When we first started this organization, it's run by myself and one other person who's actually on this call or this presentation right now. Her name is Luisa Hidalgo. We had decided that, the same as this project, there was a need to amplify voices within our community. And for us, that was the Eastman music community. So when we got together, we were like, okay, we noticed that the repertoire that is played by the orchestras is not very inclusive, not very diverse. Same goes for with the jazz department. We are playing repertoire by all white men. Why is that happening? And during my 4 years there, I don't think there's ever been a moment where we played work by women. So, we started this and we are like, okay, there needs to be an emphasis on how we amplify these voices. So we did a little mini music festival the first year that we started, and we had a bunch of musicians come and play at a coffee shop. And since then, we have just continued to host online live events. We've done a couple of features. We have been featured by a couple of local news stations, and so our goal really is to keep doing that because we think it's really important.
Fabulous. Thank you. I don't know if anybody else has any other questions.
I would like to, yeah, thank you, Nadia, so much.
You're welcome.
I'm sorry, I was trying to unmute my computer. And yes, we are a little out of time, but Naomi, I want to congratulate you because I do feel, I want to echo what Nadia said. When you presented the first draft in class, I think with this new direction you went, it's so much more powerful. Everything you presented, so there's so much clarity in what you say and through the image and the music to what you don't say. And I feel like that was the best idea. I don't know at what point it came to you, but I really want to congratulate you to, be courage to do this, so in the last leg and I know you probably took a chance, but it came to me very strongly. And so this is in terms of what we experience, the images, the music, the message. I feel there's such a clarity of your intent and there's such an artistic statement altogether, which I wish that I truly enjoy it. From where I stand here, I felt sometimes the video, the voice over was a little soft, but I don't know if it's my speaker or not, but maybe just my speaker. If not, maybe you want to kind of level that because I feel like this is something you should use in your website and have it on all the social media. I think it's altogether came along great. And I know that it's very easy to get also, lost in the theme of what you're presenting. But I think I would like for you to talk a little bit about the music. It's so beautiful and it shows your talent as a composer, as an arranger, as a pianist. And if you can talk a little bit about the process, your influences, and how you specifically connected, this theme with the way you wrote this music.
Yeah, so thank you for the kind words, Marco. First, I just like to say the idea to do the video was all Nadia's idea. I was so afraid. I was so nervous to do it, but she really was persistent on it, and she was like, "Oh, but what if it looked like this? What if you did this? What if?" She was like, she kind of acted as like my manager
Yeah,
in a
Nadia.
way. So she really was like, "Okay, Naomi, let's sit down. Let's hash some ideas out. Here's what I'm envisioning." She was like my director essentially for this whole thing. So not it I really owe it all to Nadia. She has been like a constant stream of support and influence through this whole process, and she herself is an amazing musician too. So if you have the time, you can check out her music as well. Nadia Washington. Thank you. Um yeah, so just I feel I always fall into the same patterns when I'm talking about my music. And I think in this case, this is the chance for me to not do that. Um, I have been under the assumption that when I'm composing music, I always have to try to match a certain sound or, you know, take an influence for something, which in this case is true. I was really thinking a lot about the kinds of sounds and tonalities that a lot of folkloric Asian music kind of encompasses. And to be honest, growing up, I really didn't listen to a lot of like Asian folk music. And it wasn't really until I had pestered my parents, I was like, oh, can you tell me anything about my cultural background? Um, some of it was kind of sparse, but luckily I was able to connect with my mom, who's here, and she is a immigrant from South Korea, and she's one of the strongest women I know. And she kind of pointed me to some directions on some Korean folk songs that I could listen to. So it was really interesting to get to hear that. And also, my stepmother, her name is Angie. She's also on the call as well too, and I reached out to her. She's also Korean from South Korea as well. So it was really cool to have these like, actual women that grew up listening to this music. Um, I really did try to not take too much from what I heard, and I think it's because sometimes there's this pressure to always, go deep into the research and be like, oh yes, this song was influenced by this melodic line or this rhythm or this particular, pattern. But really, for me, it's just kind of what I briefly heard and sort of melding it with the education that I received, like here at Global, and having this global concentration of the music. And also just, I wouldn't have gone through this without the support of Danilo Perez, who has mentored me a few times throughout the year and has listened to my music as well. And also, I'd like to say Chase Morin. Also, I had the chance to show him my music, and he was a really big part of like helping me gain confidence on what I'm hearing as well. And Chase was my first ensemble instructor, so he's like known my music for a long time. But we shared in this conversation too, talking about composing and what it means to be a composer. And I really wished I had like more to say on, oh, I listened to this folk song or I listened to this and I drew influence from that. But really it was more, I guess, what's the word, like a macrocosm of like
Yeah.
everything that I've experienced in my life.
And then also, could I also mention that, a lot of these, a lot of the tunes were created, you found certain cells, right? Certain, certain pieces from, some of your first works, right? And you developed them. Yeah. So.
Yeah, actually the first opening cell that you hear in the beginning where it's like a series of eighth notes on B, I actually recorded that during during Paul's CE rehearsal, and there was a melody in his tune that I actually took from, and I was like, oh, this sounds so cool. And I was like, Paul, wait, I need to record this because I think I might have a CE song.
Make sure you give him credit.
Yeah, I have the phone recording on my phone too. So, yeah, I guess it's really all just, yeah.
Well, congratulations, Naomi. It all really came out so beautifully. And I know we're so out of time. So I don't know if Chase, you want to say something very quick before Maestro Danilo makes the last remarks, since she mentioned you.
Beautiful, incredible. I've seen the whole journey. I'm so excited for the future, Naomi.
I kept that part in there.
I love it. I love that. That part is so killing.
Naomi.
Oh, thank you.
Naomi, I gotta be quick in my remark, but there's so many things I want to say, and I have to really take my time to digest this. The music is so beautiful, it was very touching. All the comments, Sumi, Tanoka, how are you? Thank you for all the insights. I really, I'm just gonna go down to the things that I feel very, very, very strong about this. The fact that sometimes in order to move forward with a very grounded idea about who we are and how we can make a change, I really admire and are inspired by what you chose to do, which is in order to interconnect with other people, with other issues in society, you're going deep into yourself and revealing and using the music as a process to find your character. Your character is formed by the challenges you face and overcome. This is so beautiful. You have no idea how that touched me so deeply. You are putting the concept of it's your movie. Every one of us are making our own movie, and we have to learn to become our own hero of our movie. When you peel off all the things that all the emotions, that was a very touching moment, because it means that you're willing to be your own hero of your own movie. Means that you're willing to show yourself, and you are showing yourself real love by developing your own values and staying true to any commitments that you have made to yourself. So that continue this journey. I am so grateful to have worked with you, and I hope that the experience at Global, this is what we're trying to do, and we keep perfecting that we teach in a manner that respect and cares for the souls of our students. Is essential if you want to. We have to provide the necessary conditions where learning can most deeply and intimately begin. So I am very proud of you. I can't wait to see you in person so you can feel the energy. Oh, Naomi. That's it.
Thank you, Danilo.
Yes. And now in this process, you're ready to interconnect. We ready to interconnect with a lot of the other issues. I love that Nadia is there. Nadia, let's start. There's a revolution happen. This is the revolution. Love and blessings.
Thank you, Danilo.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Nadia. Sumi, thank you to give us the pleasure and honor to have you today here. And Naomi, congratulations again. I heard you guys are celebrating tonight. I think you have all the right to celebrate.
Thank you.
Beautiful. So I hope you can join us in 10 minutes. We have another presentation, and we just need time to do a little sound check. So thank you, and I'll see you all later. And
thank you, everybody. It was so my pleasure and honor to be here today with a student like Naomi. Congratulations, Naomi. The future is so bright for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sumi.
And Naomi Nakanishi is your mother? Yes. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice meeting you. Nice meeting you. Thank you for the wonderful gift. You gave us a very you gave us it's life work, and it's as Sumi you just mentioned. I think we are. I'm just embracing that. I'm on that roller coaster, and Naomi, we are here. Whatever, let me know how I can help. Let's go dream big. That's it.
All right. See you all soon. Bye.